Here are the answers for Lesson 8-7, Day 2. The assignment is page 380, 2 through 44 even. Now this seems like a lot of questions, but I'll show you how you use the calculator to answer them quickly. The directions are to find the range of each function. That means find the list of output values. The method is input each value of the domain to calculate the output values that are in the range. Here's number 2. We have a function f, and we have an equation that describes function f. It pairs a number x with an output value found by going 3x minus 4. We're supposed to use 3 different numbers for x, 1, then 2, then 3. To be organized, we can make a table, x and f of x. F of x refers to the output from function f when you use a particular value for x. In the table, we'll use 1, then 2, and then 3. 3 times 1 minus 4. This is 3 minus 4, which is negative 1. 3 times 2 minus 4. This is 6 minus 4, which is 2. 3 times 3 minus 4. This is 9 minus 4, which is 5. Those 3 outputs are the range. So the range is the list of outputs. Negative 1, 2, and 5. This is how the problems are done. So problem 4, we have function h, which takes a number y and pairs it with a number that can be found with the formula 1 minus 2y. Our input variable is the y. The output variable is h of y. That is, what is the value of function h when using a particular number for y? Now, what are the numbers we're supposed to use for y? Negative 3, 0, and 1. 1 minus 2 times negative 3. This makes 1 plus 6, which is 7. Now, 1 minus 2 times 0. That makes 1. 1 minus 2 times 1. This is 1 take away 2, which is negative 1. That list of outputs is the range. So the range is the set containing the numbers negative 1, 1, and 7. Now, from this point forward, I want to make use of our calculator technology to make this faster. So I'm going to call up the TI-84 calculator. In Google Classroom, click Classwork, Calculators, TI-84. Now on the TI-84 calculator, push the Y equals button. Now where it says Y1 equals, input the formula used to find the values of function h. That is, type in the b squared plus 3. But instead of b, use x. So on the calculator, you're going to use the button for x, but on paper, we're going to consider that as being the letter b. On the calculator, it uses the letter y, but when we're working on our paper, we're thinking of the name of the function as h. For problem 6 on the calculator, we're going to use the letters x and y, but realize that in number 6, the letters are b and h. To type x, you use the button that's right next to the green key. When you push it, it puts an X on the screen. Now I want to square it. That's down the left side of the calculator. The button says x squared. When I push that button, it puts the little 2 in the upper right corner. Now I'm going to type plus 3. So on the calculator, it says y1 equals x squared plus 3. That corresponds to problem 6, which is function h can be found by doing b squared plus 3. Now I'm going to push table. To push table, you push the blue key and then table, which is the 5th gray button. Now, what are the corresponding outputs on the calculator for the 3 domain values that we're asked to use? Our domain values are 0, 2, and 4. What are the numbers paired with those? We can see that the number paired with 0 is 3, the number paired with 2 is 7, and the number paired with 4 is 19. So 3, 7, and 19. That's the range. Those are the 3 outputs associated with the 3 numbers from the domain. Now number 8. On paper, the name of the function is m. When we use the calculator, we're going to use the letter y. Just remember that that's really function m. On paper, our input variable is x, and on the calculator, we're also going to use x. We need to type in this formula on the calculator, and then use the calculator to find the outputs for these 3 x values. Let me bring up the calculator again. Push y equals. Clear the last question by pushing the button called clear. Now type in x squared plus 5x plus 2. To type the letter x, use the button next to the green key. That puts the x on the screen. It doesn't put the squared on there yet. To put the squared, you push the button down the left side of the calculator that says x squared on it. That's how you get the little 2 in the corner. Now plus 5, x again, plus 2. Now I'm going to push table. That's the blue key, and then table. Now on problem 8, our domain is -1, -2, and -4. Those are the x values. On the calculator, I don't have negative x values shown, but I can use the up cursor button to go backwards in the chart until I can see the numbers that I need to see. So now I have x equals -4 visible. So what are the corresponding y values? In the first row, when x is -4, y is -2. Or for our problem, m is -2. When x is -2, the output is -4. And when x is -1, the output is -2 again. So our range consists of -2 and -4. Now number 10. We're going to use the calculator. On the calculator, we'll use the button called y equals, but just remember that that's function n equals. On the calculator, we're going to use the letter x as our input variable, but just remember that we really mean a. Push the y equals key and push clear. Now type in the new function, x, and then down the left side, you'll find the button that does squaring, and then -3x minus 2. Now look at the table by pushing second table. The input values we're interested in are -2, -1, and 0. So what are the y values in blue that are paired with those 3 x values? We can see that it's 8, 2, and -2. That's the range. Now number 12. Let's type in this function using the calculator. Push y equals, clear, and then type in x to the 3rd power. To do the 3rd power, you're going to use your exponent button, which on the TI-84 is the little arrow-looking button that's underneath the clear button. That puts the little box in the upper exponent position, and then you can type in the 3. Then push the right cursor to hop back down. Now minus 5x, which button does squaring? It's on the left side of the calculator. Puts the little 2 in the corner. And then plus 6x. So on the calculator, we're using the letter x as our input variable. And for number 12, it's also the letter x. On the calculator, the letter y is our output variable, but in number 12, it's the letter k. When we look at the table, we're interested in 0, 2, and 3 as our inputs. Second table. When x is 0, y is 0. When x is 2, y is 0. And when x is 3, y is 0. The range is 0. Now number 14, evaluate the function for the given inputs. Here we have function p. Function p pairs a number with another number that can be found by going 8 minus 4 times x. So what is the value of function p when x is 2? You go 8 minus 4 times 2. And that makes 8 minus 8, which is 0. What about p of 0? What is 8 minus 4 times 0? That makes 8. What about p of negative 2? 8 minus 4 times negative 2. That's 8 plus 8, which equals 16. Now think about this. This is just the same thing as we were doing earlier when we were finding the range, right? We had a formula for a function. We used different numbers as our input variables, and we calculated outputs. And the list of outputs was the range. This is the exact same skill. So that means we can use the calculator in the same way. Number 16. I'm going to bring up my calculator. Push y equals, clear away the old one, and type in the new function formula. Now it says n minus 2. I can't type the letter n, but I can type x minus 2. Now I want to look at the table by pushing second table. What is the value of function g when the input is 0? So looking at the calculator, when x is 0, what does it say that y is equal to? It says negative 2. So this one is negative 2. What about for an input of 2 and for an input of negative 3? Let's find that on the calculator. When x is 2, y is 0. So g of 2 is equal to 0. When x is negative 3, y is negative 5. So 0 and negative 5. The next problems can be done in the same way. So you can do number 18 manually or on the calculator using the y equals key like I've been showing. All of these problems can be done on the calculator if you want to. Now as you keep scrolling ahead, you'll finally get to number 30, which has different directions. For each function, find f of 0. F of 0 means figure out the value of function f when you use a 0 for the x. And you just get 7. Now the second thing you're asked to do is solve the equation f of x equals 0. That means to write 4x plus 7 is equal to 0. And then once you have that equation, solve it. So subtract 7 from both sides and then divide by 4. And you discover that when the function is equal to 0, that meant that x had to be negative 7/4. Number 32 is going to be done in the same way as number 30. Same for 34 Same for 36 and 38 and 40. They're all done in that same way. Now, as you keep going, you'll get to number 42. In number 42, you're given that function f has the formula 3x plus 4. And you're asked to find 2 times f of 5. Well, what is the value of f of 5? Figure that out. So 3 times 5 plus 4. That makes 19. And now that you know what f of 5 is equal to as a number, you can now go 2 times that number to get the answer. Number 44 is done in a similar fashion. This concludes the video.